In southern Ontario, there's a theme park that no Torontonian doesn't know of, and that's Canada's Wonderland. A sprawling park with tons of thrill rides and attractions that rival some of the greatest of all time. The park itself is absolutely gigantic, and to cover the whole thing in a day seems like a hefty task. But is this place's hype really as warranted as some people might say? Let's find out together as I spent the whole day exploring Canada's Wonderland experience. From all its different lands to the different rides, who's to say if it's worthy of its title as one of the greatest theme parks in the world? Let's find out together, shall we? The first area to cover was Medieval Fair and its most popular attraction, the Leviathan. This towering blue coaster is what everyone runs to in the first thing in the morning, and while at first it seems manageable, this coaster takes a pretty deep dive and ends up taking you by surprise. With curves, loops, inversions, and drops, this coaster definitely is the epitome of Canada's Wonderland's highlight. Wonderland also has a giant drop tower that simulates the feeling of free falling to your death, so have fun up there, I suppose. Next up is the Bat, and with forward and backward inversions, they flip you upside down like the creature itself. Honestly, one of my favorite coasters at the park. The Bat, however, is nothing compared to the absolute monstrosity that is Yukon Striker. It inverts, twists, dives, and spans almost the entire center of the park. It's absolutely insane how much ground it covers. It even goes under this tunnel beneath the ground, which is insane for the coaster. The last of our main coasters is Behemoth, a supposedly tame coaster comparison-wise, without inversions but drops even steeper than before. It runs through the water park area and simply outside of it, and it's just relentless as a ride can be, constantly dropping you up and down and up and down. You'd think by now the people on the ride would get tired of it, just the same kind of up and down motion, but no, they're still having a blast, so honestly you can't blame them really. Following that, we have Flight Deck, a suspended coaster with the track above you as you fly, legs dangling around hoping not to hit any metal poles, or a lawsuit might be in order for a lost limb. Personally, not one I really like to ride for that reason alone. The sheer nature of doing all those inversions and twists and lifts while you're not even in a car, you're just dangling like that? Ugh, not for me. But a coaster not so legendary is the Backlot Stunt Coaster. Its limited capacity and lack of working effects make this one rough. Just avoid it if you can, please. Moving along from that failure of a ride brings us to Splashworks, this extensive water park that spans a large portion of the park, with slides, pools all around make it a perfect destination on a hot day. Great for groups of all sizes and people of different thrill-seeking levels. If you want a more relaxed experience, you won't find it at Kidsville. Even without crazy coasters, the sheer noise level in this part of the park is next level. With screaming children, tired parents, and outdated rides, you're gonna have to come prepared if you're bringing your kids to the park. And while I've been to this part of the park when I was younger, I don't remember it being this crazy, so to speak. Now this parent rest zone sign makes a lot more sense. Despite all that, I actually find myself having quite a lot of fun walking through this section of the park. Even through the chaos, families are still having a fun time, and the decorations seem for the most part well maintained as far as cleanliness goes. Mascots stay in character, the lake is well taken care of, and honestly, it's a really nice time if you want to slow down for once. No matter your age, Kidsville can be a good time if you want to re-explore your inner child. Just don't expect the lines to be any shorter than the previous ones. What's not maintained well, though, is the food. These criminally overpriced fish and chips were soggy and just abysmal. So after a terrible meal, what a great time to go on a coaster that sends you flipping through time. By that I mean literally, just look at this. Who would want to cage themselves in and spin like that voluntarily? I don't think I'll ever understand thrill ride seekers. Speaking of spin rides, Wonderland has even more of them, like the State Fair swings that are not maintained. They sound like they're creaking constantly every time. Or how about a carousel by this nice patch of flowers? Or even a bucket ride where you spin, but at an angle this time. This one was actually pretty fun, so I can't knock it on that. Through the wooded areas are the water rides, including a whitewater rafting attraction that, despite the long line, was actually quite enjoyable through the nice naturescapes. With the occasional splish and splash, you're bound to get wet, although one person in particular will get wet more than the other, so just hope you don't get unlucky and get that specific seat. The much less calm of the two is a log flume Titanic water ride that soaks even the close-by onlookers. I didn't know about this before hopping on the ride, so this was my result afterwards. I was soaked for the entire rest of the day. As the day came to a close, we finished off by riding Vortex and a couple of other coasters nearby. Vortex surprisingly took longer to offload than it did to load on, which I found pretty funny at first. The coaster itself is another suspended one, but you're in a cart this time while it swings, which is a lot safer overall. So the day ends, and looking back at it, it wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was. Well, nor was it super great either. Although I have to admit, for someone who doesn't like thrill rides, they have a surprising amount of options for not thrill seekers either. With well-maintained decor and set pieces, its reputation is definitely deserved. To have a theme park this close to the nearby cities definitely is a huge plus, especially if it's high quality. And overall, the day was a success, I'd say, and a brisk 23,000 steps later, we left feeling satisfied from our day. Unfortunately, there's a theme park with even more flaws that I went to.